Depression and anxiety are far too common today, but what are some of the solutions? To discuss this, I'm joined now by Dr. Sandra Weppler, Christian psychotherapist, ordained minister, producer of the Voice of Truth prophetic TV, and she's also written the book called The Dubai Girl. Sandra, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thank you so much for having me, Hal. It's a pleasure and a real privilege and an honor.
Oh, you bet. Now, what is The Dubai Girl all about? Why don't you share with our viewers?
Yeah, the Dubai Girl, came out of, a struggle, a real struggle with depression, anxiety, multiple panic attacks, and just freedom from walking into my destiny. It came out of a time where God was breaking me into and training me, into my destiny, essentially. It started, when I was in Dubai, and I was going into, I was just driving out, going into the main road, and my accelerator got stuck. And I was accelerating coming on to, the main road, which had about an 18-wheeler. So that was some generational stuff as well with fear, and that kind of broke up and took away my freedom. What I was before that and what I was after that, I struggled for 30 years. I've been a psychotherapist. If anyone heard what my private struggles were, they would have never believed me if I had to tell them that I was struggling with multiple panic attacks, couldn't stay home, alone, couldn't go out alone, couldn't drive in the car alone after that, lost my job, lost tons of weight, and life is never the same for a long time after that.
So, as you were dealing with a lot of this anxiety, God told you to write the book?
I kind of moved to Canada, did my master's. And then, when I did got a scholarship to do my doctorate. When I finished my doctorate in 2013, the dean of the university said to me, "You should turn this into a book." What really got me going is when my father, Michael D'Souza, passed away in 2013. See, he had greatness in him. He had an amazing destiny. He came from a very small town in India called Goa, and he had so much of greatness in him. He was an amazing man. Brought his entire family to Dubai. Went to Dubai when he was 29 in 1956. So essentially, for me, the book came out when I lost my father, and I felt like I had to make a connection with God the Father. And I felt like I'm going to take my father's inheritance here, his legacy, and I'm going to be the front runner to move forward and break through whatever call was on my dad. I'm going to break through the generational stuff that was on our family. And so the book came out, and I started changing, I would say, massaging the book, and then the book came out recently on just a couple of weeks ago.
So, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you were writing the book? And apparently, one day, everything changed you, and it was a certain plane ride that actually impacted your life in a big way?
Yes. Yeah. I think God was already had some plans and purposes for me. He had his hand over my life. And, the challenges I had in the book was, to try to finish it with a proper testimony, because I hadn't received complete freedom. So I was not going to, be able to put an end of victory in this book. So I left the book as, that this is God's faithful. And no matter what I'm going through and I'm still struggling, I want to say to you guys that God is faithful. And I closed the book with that. And then I said to the Lord, I said, what do I do, Lord, with this? Because I want this book to get out, but I haven't received complete freedom. So how do I go about this? And, and I didn't know that very, very shortly God had a plan for total and complete freedom. My husband was going on a conference, an office conference to San Antonio, Texas, last year, September. I did not want to get on the plane. I have never got on a plane by myself alone. I had to go wire Atlanta and then back wire Salt Lake City. So the long and short of it is, I did, and I knew that there's something was going to change. I really didn't know what, but the miracle and the supernatural event that took place was when we were taxiing in the plane, and I realized that I was all alone, and I'd left my brother and my husband, everybody back at the Toronto airport. And now I'm on a US flight going into, going into US in a Canadian airline, and I'm completely having multiple panic attacks, can't even see straight, can't breathe, can't focus. Everything is coming back to me. And then, the two people sitting at the side of me knew what was they knew something was happening, but they were trying to console me, but it wasn't happening. So at the end of the day, the plane plane takes off. And as I reach up, as the plane takes off and, just above the clouds, I heard a very, very clear voice that I've heard before, 7 years before, when I had a fear of flying. I had a very clear voice that said, Sandra, this is your father. Look out, look out. And, the father's voice is so clear because through all of the symptoms that I was having and everything in my body was shutting down, that one word, Sandra, I'm your father, look out, broke through all of the panic attacks, broke through the depressions and oppression and everything. And I looked out, and this supernatural, miraculous peace came over me. And from that day onwards, it has completely broken and completely left my life.
Now, what about the title, The Dubai Girl itself? Why is that title so important for you?
Yeah, well, good question. Thank you so much for asking me that. I was praying about it and asking the Lord, what should I name this book? Because it was all about, destiny. It's about, pointing to the Father's heart and things like that. But really, I said, Lord, I know there are a lot of people who talk about, purpose and plan and destiny and call. So I was really leaning in and saying, what should I name it? And the father said, name it the Dubai Girl, because that is where I met you. That is where you started your journey. That is where I called you. And that is where I called your dad. That is your beginnings. You conceived there. And, and my destiny started in your life then. So so that's why I named it the Dubai Girl, because at heart I'm still a Dubai girl.
Now, your book is a combination of your personal story and provides practical help for people needing to experience their own breakthrough. So, why did you think this was such an important message to share?
Yeah, it is important because people need to realize that sometimes they're struggling with depression, fear, anxiety. They're going through such hardships in life, yet there's a call on their life. Yet there is, I would say all hell is breaking loose, but yet God has a path and a purpose for them. And that they need to hang in there, and that they may think, why should I even write a book? Like, what is so special about me? But it's important because, you know, uh, people are going to hear your story, and they're going to gain something from it, and their lives are going to be changed by your story. And as for me, I written the book because the book is pointing out to the Father's heart. We talk about Jesus. We know he's compassionate. We talk about the Holy Spirit with power, but the Father is misunderstood many times. And so it became my mandate to talk about the Father's heart, and about identity, and about how we can be sons and daughters. And no matter what happens, when God gives us a promise, he's going to deliver on it, despite what we see in the natural.
So, Sandra, how important is it really for us to know what our destiny is?
Mhm. I think it's very, very important, because others we're living a life that is just, Monday to Friday, wake up, sleep, get up. There is, God has, before time, he says, in Romans 8:28, that I have, formed you and shaped you, and I have a purpose and plan for you even before the earth began. So he has a purpose and plan and a destiny for each one of us here. And despite what is happening, this is what I always say, despite what is happening, lean into it, glean from what is going on. Don't give up, because I had a struggle for 30 years. I had suicidal thoughts. I kept thinking that, how can God, tell me that he's going to send me to nations, that he's going to, do all of these wonderful things with me, but there's no proof of it, no proof of it in the natural. So I think it's very, very important, because God needs his people. He needs his agents here on earth to bring his kingdom from heaven here. And we are it.
Now, you say that mentors have been a key in your journey to experience, your breakthrough, and in the process of writing The Dubai Girl? How so?
Yeah, I've had some very key mentors. I want to mention that in the process of breaking through into your destiny, it's very, very important who you align with and who is in your corner. People like the one lady that actually, her name is Auntie Colleen White. I'd like to give her. She's passed away. I've known her for a very, very long time. She was instrumental in bringing me to Jesus. So, she was the reflection of what it is like to be intimately in love with Jesus, and she showed me that. She didn't only walk it out, but she instilled that. And then there's Dr. Rhonda Thomas. He's the VP of the Canada Christian College, who consistently loved on me as a father, even after my own father passed away. There's Joan Hunter. There's Robert Hodgkin and Doug Addison. And these guys, in my time of breaking through, they have stood by me. They never once questioned what my destiny, what my call is, or who I am. I've pretty much have come out of left field, in the prophetic genre as well. So have they have stood by me, they've loved on me, and they have believed in me, and help me to propel forward. So it's very important, to have good, authentic prophetic leaders or ministers in your corner when you're breaking through into your destiny.
So, how can a person find the right individual to mentor him or her? And does that mentor necessarily have to be a believer?
Well, I do believe that it has to be a believer, and especially if you're in a prophetic realm, then have somebody in the prophetic realm, a leader there to mentor you. If you're in healing, then have somebody who's in healing. If you're in deliverance, then have somebody, because you're going to walk through some stuff which you're not going to be able to understand. There's going to be no bandwidth for what you're going to walk through, and so you need those generals, who are ahead of you in the game, who have had that walk, to have those brainstorming sessions and to say, don't get worried, don't get freaked out. This is normal, and so it is very important to have, and the quality, there has to be. I believe that I picked and I asked my mentors because they were in the same prophetic realm as I, but they had, the Lord, the Holy Spirit showed me, He showed me that these are people of highest integrity. They're very authentic, and they have love. Love is the biggest component, wisdom, because they've already walked the journey ahead of me, and love. Yeah.
So, what is one key message you really hope people take away after reading your book?
The one key message I really want to talk about today, is just the love of the Father. Pointing out to the love of the Father, because the Father is, he is passionately. I always say this. One moment in His presence changes everything, and that's what happened to me. So He is passionately, extravagantly, and intentionally loving us unconditionally all the time. So if we don't make him, a source. Yeah, we don't make him a resource. Pardon me. Don't make him a resource. Like an ATM machine. We get something from him and then we're off on our way into our destiny. No, but we actually make him the point of contact, the source. Because if we make him the source, then we partner with him and we do his work and his agenda on this earth, not ours. So that is the key thing. Understand your identity as a son and a daughter of the living God, and know that if you partner with him as the source, then you are going to walk. And that the third thing I would say is just believe and trust, because if he has said something, it may take 20 years, it may take 30 years like me, but he will come through.
So, who do you hope really reads your book?
I'm hoping that, my book is for Christians, but it's for non-Christians as well. It's for those people who really want to understand, who is God? What is his character like? Why is he love? Why is he grace? why is he all these different things? Why is this God shouting from the top of the mountaintop about his love, about, identity, about what that has to do with, call and purpose? There might be a lot of people in the marketplace, and there may be a lot of people in the church, and there may be a lot of people in the secular, but this is definitely not only for Christians. This is for those people who are looking at, why am I here? And who am I? And what should I actually be doing here?
All good questions, absolutely. Where can people go to connect with you, to learn more about you and the book, The Dubai Girl?
Yeah, well, they can go on my website, Hal, which is www.sandraweppler.com. They can also go to the Dubai Girl website. And we have a special promotion. I put it out on Facebook. And I said to them, my Facebook family and friends, I said to them, well, I'm giving you something for free. And I really meant that, because a lot of people use some corny things, but I meant that. I worked on a lot of resources. So 3 resources that they will get for free, which I worked for over 2-3 months to put in their hands. They can go to the Dubai Girl, so www.thedubaigirl.com, and they can sign up for that. They get a wonderful devotion for 30 days where the Father talks to them daily. They get 3 MP3s that talks about breakthrough, when I was breaking through my personal breakthroughs, and they have another resource which will get them jump started, start to really focus and get them jump started into their destiny. And all of that can be found there. If they want to know more about me, they can go to Voice of Truth Prophetic TV International, where we're touching millions of people through Voice of Truth Prophetic TV. And they can also connect with us on all of our social media channels.
Dr. Sandra Weppler, author of The Dubai Girl, thanks a lot for joining me today from Kitchener, Ontario.
Thank you, Hal. Pleasure and honor.